And we're back. Actually, yeah, this is the news. November 27th, 2020. I appreciate you all joining this podcast, this episode. We had Robin Cleveland on earlier. You can go check out that podcast over at episode 247, Better on Draft Podcast. Guys, you can join us live each and every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern at betterondraft.tv or facebook.com/Better on Draft. We appreciate you joining us live. And as always, with segment two. Of course, the news is going to be brought to you by North Center Brewing over in Northville, Michigan, just south of uh, Baseline Road over in Northville. Matt's repping the blue shirt, that's for sure. If you like it, it's a good beer. That's what they always say. But I want to hear what Robert has to say.
All right, we are going to start off with the big news that have kind of taken off here in Detroit, with that being the week that has surrounded Eastern Market Brewing Company and that of Barry Sanders. EMBC's latest beer, which was called Same Old Lager, was launched and was somewhat of a tribute to the Detroit football team, as I'm now calling them, apparently, as members of the fan base complain um, by usually saying about the team the same old Lions. So, of course, Thursday's visit by Fleece Johnson and the Houston Texans shows that they preferred the easy way in the 41-25 loss. But as described with the beer, this classic American lager is exactly what you'd expect: light, crisp, and always leaves you wanting more. Just keep telling yourself the next beer will be the beer. Now, where the problem came in was with the beer can's design, which featured your standard football field and an 8-bit version of a black football player wearing Lions colors and the number 20. But of course, Barry Sanders took to Twitter to say, I have no affiliation with this company and they're using my image without any permission. My legal team is working through the process to shut this down ASAP. Apologies to any fans that were duped, which that kind of has a little stretch in it to myself too. But EMBC immediately took the sales of the cans down from their peddler websites and have changed the logo. The logo is, replacing the 8-bit Barry Sanders maybe to a EMBC elephant logo. And right after the cans were removed, I've been noticing some movement that's been happening on the social media groups in the area, that people started hunting for the cans, looking to pay anywhere upwards to, from what I saw, $50 a can. Now, for you guys, I get it. As a person who is in Detroit, we refer to it as the Honolulu Blue. It is a wearing those colors, and it's number 20. Many historians and lovers of football are gonna say that's Barry Sanders. I look at that and I would immediately think Barry Sanders. And there are some images with what's on the can and what's been, snapped in game that look pretty close to that image that's on the can. Now, obviously, he's the last one to wear the number 20, but he's wasn't the first, and there are others that have been notable. Notably being Billy Sims and Lem Barney, who have worn the number 2. But looking at this, and I'm going to start with Matt, because especially starting with Matt because the name Same Old Lager is a Matt product, so we're going to start with him. Do you think Barry, if this were to continue, do you think Barry would actually have had a case?
Yes, because as you might actually, not only Barry would have a case, but probably Getty Images would have a case, because there's a photo of him in that exact pose. It'd be almost like having like a Desmond Howard in the Heisman pose, taking a photograph of it and then like putting him on a beer can. I think there's two cases: the photographer as well as Barry Sanders. I think Barry Sanders has less of a case than the photographer, because as I pointed out on Twitter, that could be Billy Sims if it weren't so recognizable of a single Barry photograph. My thing is, I wish they would have done one of two things. One of three things now. One, done an actual Tecmo Bowl 8-bit as opposed to the photo of Barry Sanders. Number 2, done like a lion's helmet in Tecmo version to where you can't really tell it's Bubbles the lion, but you can kind of tell that it's Bubbles the lion. Or 3, basically put somebody in an Easter Market shirt with a bag over their head and written same old lions on the brown paper bag. So I think there were 3 ways
But they couldn't do that because that's basically something that Watermark has already done. Watermark already has a beer called Brown Paper, like I think it's called Brown Paper Bag, where there is what looks to be a Lions fan with a brown paper bag over their head.
And I saw that, and that's kind of what I was thinking. So my thought is it should have just been more of a Tecmo player versus what it was. But at the same rate, as we just discussed, they probably got more publicity in the last week than anybody not named AB or Sab Miller, especially locally. And I've never even seen beers on ESPN, and this week we did. So I think, one thing that we always said about Dane is he's great at marketing, and maybe he wanted to catch a flare up, or maybe, you know what, Barry Sanders, just get off your high horse and maybe just fax us in that C&D as opposed to making a big stink about it.
Well, and one of the other things real quick was that that obviously when EMBC took it down, they had put a post out and sent out an email that they were releasing another beer, their Solo Copper, which is a really good one. But in their post, they had said that they had plans for a different Thanksgiving beer, but it retired early. So they definitely took their another kind of a shot going into that. But Dan is shaking his head there. I think he's got something.
You know what? If you're arguing that it's Lem Barney or Billy Sims, you're a troll. And I'm sorry. It's the same as if you tell me I go and make a Chicago light lager and put number 23 and it's Ollie Mack. I'm a fucking troll. Let's be realistic. 20 was retired for Barry Sanders, just like 23 in Chicago.
No,
Yeah.
20 is not retired for Barry Sanders. 20 is retired for Sims, Barney, and Sanders.
Okay, being aside, let's be realistic. You're being a troll. It's like your response was trollish.
I'm correcting you. They called
Fair
it
enough.
a triumphant retirement of the number 20 because of the 3 players. Because while Barry Sanders is, you can't see it on the camera because obviously I'm above the camera with my hand. Barry Sanders is above the rest, but that doesn't take away from how good Lem Barney and Billy Sims were. They were still very good players.
Yes.
At the number 20 in Detroit, who would have had probably their number retired because there ain't much to do, celebrate except for, hey, we went to the playoffs, guys.
But you ask someone outside of Detroit, you go down to like Cleveland, you go to New York. Oh, who is number 20 Detroit? You're not hearing Billy Sims. You're not hearing Lem Barney.
I disagree. I think if you have an older person, like somebody who was like watching football in the 70s in Chicago, they might say Billy Sims because Billy Sims, he was a flash in the pan. He was 80 to 88 or 80 to 85 maybe. Like he had a short career, but he was good during his career. Like he had the rookie career rushing record in the 80s before.
I'm sorry, Matt. I think that's an argument of people thinking in Detroit that things that happen in Detroit are way bigger than they were to the rest of the country.
It's Midwest local, I think.
Someone who doesn't know anything about football, even I knew that was supposed to be Barry Sanders.
Everyone did. And if you're arguing it wasn't, you're trolling. Like I said, it's if you make a Chicago beer with 23, but it's Ollie Mack. No, shut the hell up.
And that's what I wanted from Wendy. As a person who does not watch football, I wanted to hear that from Wendy. Get on right there.
What if we put
it's the
Scott
only
Mitchell
lion
on
I
the
can
can?
actually name. Let's be honest.
What if we put Scott Mitchell on the can, or Dave Craig, or Eric Kramer, or any of those random Charlie Batch? You're
going to need their permission to use their likeness, so. It doesn't matter who you put on there.
If they're wearing the uniform, we know what it is.
And if you put Scott Mitchell on the can, no one would accurately get a can anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
And Scott Mitchell's like 7, or Ty Detmer. He can deliver to 8 different teams.
It's just what it is. So
he can deliver to 7 different opponents.
I just have to say, well played, Eastern Market.
Yes.
Actually,
a lot of press out of this.
It's got national attention.
Like it anyways.
That would be the next
rebrand it and set it out there.
Is if they made a beer called, at least it'll be successful if I don't throw 8 interceptions, because that was a Ty Detmer quote, and then he threw 7 interceptions in a game. So that would be the next great beer idea.
Well, I know that you feel like a bit of a proud papa on that one, Matt, with being the man behind the name and
I birthed myself a C&D. It's all
yeah.
it's
So
there we go.
you birthed yourself a partially you birthed yourself a C&D. So congratulations on that. And I guess just kind of going into the point that there was a lot of people who were making a big stink about it with EMBC. Breweries get C&Ds. It happens.
It's a thing
all the time
with them. It's happened with Bell's. It's happened. Dogfish Head have definitely put out quite a few themselves.
What?
C&Ds happen. It's just a part of the brewing industry where breweries like to make beers and give them names that have a social reference. And this one obviously came a little too close. That's just what it was. And
but you know what? I'll be honest. Barry could have looked the other way. There's no reason why Barry needed to throw a fuss over this. Like, this was solely, I mean, he's not suing. He's not seeking monetary damages. So Barry just wanted to be involved in something, because he could have easily looked the other way and nobody would have ever equated him with Eastern Market ever.
Maybe that was part of the plan.
When did this beer come out? It wasn't
It
that
hasn't.
long ago.
But last 2 Wednesdays ago, because Rob had it in can.
This came out. It was on tap at the brewery about 2 weeks ago when I was hosting trivia there, and then they put it in cans the following week.
Yeah, because I went and got a 4-pack, and I apparently it's better than my Amazon stock.
Yeah, it was that quick that when it came out, that the Detroit Free Press had put out an article about it. And now EMBC didn't say that on the can it was, a likeness of Barry Sanders. That was part of the article from the Free Press that I think kind of sparked that, and where that said it in the article, that then it got to Barry to say, hey, there's this beer that has this Nintendo likeness of you sitting on its can that you need to know about.
I'm looking at the can right now. It's barely even Nintendo. It's almost damn near Sega Genesis.
So,
this is pretty close.
Would this have got it? Oh, sorry, Matt. I didn't mean to cut you off.
This seems a little bit too much of a likeness. I think it should have been a lot more 8-bit Tecmo Bowl. This is like Madden 94. This is way too close to. This is like calling it Emmett Smithwick's. Like it's a little bit too close.
Oh, jeez. Now, would this have got attention, you think, if they didn't put this out the time that the whole country sees the Lions embarrass themselves every year?
Yes,
if they would have put this out in the summer, you think it would have got the same attention?
I don't think it would have mattered. It just seems like, and the thing is that even as Matt mentions the whole Tecmo thing, that there were a lot of people on social media who were saying that Tecmo should be able to sue as well. And myself personally, I look at it as it's a digitally, pixelated football field. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's Tecmo. It could have been Joe Montana Sports Talk football from
Troy Aikman football.
It could have been any.
Bill Lambier's combat basketball, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, it could have been
Bird basketball.
Right. It could have been Madden 97 or 98. It doesn't really matter. It's a general.
But you know what? The thing is,
football field.
You go to court. You say it's not Tecmo Bowl. It's Madden 93, and then John Madden comes up and says, "Hey, you said in court documents this is Madden 93. Yeah. Give this man his money."
But John Madden's not getting there because he only travels by bus. He doesn't fly, so he's going to miss the court date.
He got legal representation.
Here's what I'm going to say, because I want to get to at least 1 or 2 more news articles.
He's got legal pros in different areas.
I know this is big locally, but obviously it got national attention. It was on ESPN, so EMBC is getting a lot of free marketing here, especially because Barry Sanders has, from what Matt's saying, kind of backed down, and nothing's really happening other than the stopping of the label. If as Matt said, if you didn't use that specific image, I think you easily would have had a lot of cases, just because there was no Lions, so it could have been any number 20. Let alone, yes, you could lean towards think of the note dignity.
I like the way you word it.
No dignity from Pigeon Hill. when we talked to Michael Brower on one of our previous episodes, I thought that was Chunk from uh,
The Goonies.
the Goonies, yes, but it wasn't. It was actually a different. It was the likeness and everything from far away looks like Chunk, but if you look closer, you could tell it's different.
Does do they pay the Big Lebowski people for? Does Perrin pay the Big Lebowski for Walter on the?
No, but that's the thing though is that I doubt that it would have gotten any attention if the Freep did not write that very specific article. That very specific article is what got to Barry, which is what got to his lawyers, Adam or whoever he calls, and it gets to.
He calls Adam.
Yeah, he's a spokesperson.
The American
for
Divorce
Adam.
Association. Dude, he got cleaned out in his divorce.
Oh.
He got Strahan.
You know what they should have done? If EMBC wanted to avoid this, they should have put Sue kicking Matt Schaub in the for Thanksgiving. You know what I'm talking about.
I just think like Scott Mitchell would have been such more representative, or like you pay a guy $60 million just to come throw interceptions.
Possibly.
Put in a righty with number 19 as opposed to a lefty.
All right, that's enough. That's enough sports.
Let's
Sorry, we have Wendy here.
Let's go into another one here, which I easily titled "Spelling Founders Mean Holding On to That L." And recently, they released their newest beer pack, which is their first advent calendar. 24 of, as they said on Instagram, won't be just typical beers, but quote, a smattering of rarities, limited and barrel-aged surprises. Obviously the Detroit beer community kind of took to the streets to acquire the beer box.
Hey, I have a trademark on beer box. Watch your mouth.
Yes, okay. All right. It's a beer box, not my beer box.
Oh, hey.
But as we're continuing, people flock to get the box only to be showing some disappointment that I've been seeing on social media. Now, the box, it costs $150. And just to kind of go through some of the beers that are in here, we have the likes of Better Half, 3 bottles of KBS Espresso, KBS Mackinac Fudge, CBS, 2 bottles of Underground Brown, a bottle of Black is Beautiful, Marvel Roast, Imperial Stout, Breakfast Stout, Passion Fruit Goza, Mass Agave and Mass Agave Grapefruit, Backwoods Bastard, Dirty Bastard, Porter, Centennial, and apparently the first bottle that's in there when you open it up is a bottle of All Day IPA. Now, not having had their beer in quite a while now, but seeing a lot of the posts that have been happening on Facebook group postings, I don't see anything in here that is really calling out to me as being rare, limited, and or barrel-aged surprises. And it kind of reminds me of like back in the day when, old people like myself and Dan would go to Harmony House to get greatest albums. And there'll be that one new track that's on the end of the album where everything else is stuff that we already have. But there's that one song at the very end of it that, we had to buy that album to get that song. Now, allegedly, someone did get a response from Founders. I don't know. I can't say whether or not this is factual, but it was posted in the group, and I know Matt saw it. But allegedly, someone got a response from Founders about their, quote, shadiness and ripping off customers. And the enthusiasts apparently got an email that basically said the price included the time taken by our staff to handpick each individual bottle and the cost of the custom box. So there are more factors involved than just the cost of the beer. We will take your feedback and apply it to next year's release. Now, first thing, as Harry Weaver of the Brewers Brothers would say, shout out to the culture first, but the other part, this is the thing that you get upset about regarding Founders?
Well, it has to hit home first. Like,
it has to hit home. But I guess that's the thing is that talking about this, $150 for 24 beers that a lot of people are saying on here that this is stuff that is already in my fridge.
You know what it is? But there's a saying, and I don't know for whom, a fool and their money are easily separated. And these are a lot of fucking fools.
That brings my attention to the Bottle Logic releases of Magnum of one of their beers every year, and the Magnum costs more than if you just go out and buy the 3 bottles individually. It actually costs almost double the price, but people like race to go get it. And so that plays right into what Matt just said. People see like, oh, I got to get this because it's a Magnum. They only have 2 of them. And meanwhile, I'll go buy 4 beers, 4 of the bottles of it, and spend half the cost. Like, what are you doing?
But I think that may be the thing is that, the ability to just show off that you have the Magnum, that I think that for those who are craft enthusiasts, that they want to be able to show that. But Founders doesn't necessarily give you anything to tease the box other than just like, oh, there's going to be rarities.
But they give you a special box. So there you go. I bought the box.
Well, so hold on. I know. Here's what Rob is saying is that
what's in the box?
A smattering of rarities, limited, and barrel-aged surprises. You're telling me I'm getting rarities, limited, and barrel-aged surprises, and that day one is an all-day IPA, I'm gonna fucking flip a lid.
That's a good point.
That's the thing is you're talking. You understand the math. Like, you understand people, they're going to buy a specific bottle, whereas an advent calendar, sure, you're getting a little bit surprised. You're gonna get, but if you're gonna come in here now, I can understand the Masagaves, that's brand new, so that's really new to distro, so maybe it might not get to you, or maybe you haven't had a chance to try it. But day 2, Centennial, like. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're gonna give me all day and send. At that point, then I'm opening up the rest of the days because I'm like, what the fuck else is in here?
And it's $6 a spot, right? I can go to a bar, like I can go to Buffalo Wild Wings and get an all-day IPA for $4. You want to charge me $6.25 for 12 ounces?
Like
I can get
$4.
Get a $4 24-ouncer at the bar on the corner.
You can buy every beer Rob mentioned for like $5 or less.
Like, people
like
just got
individually.
Yeah. Straight up hoodwinked. No, it should have said to support our legal costs. Advent box.
Well, I mean, it goes I'm sorry, Wendy, go ahead.
So here's the point that I think that Rob is trying to make. Founders has stepped in it repeatedly and has continuously told us that they are going to do things to make that better, and they're not. This is just ridiculous. Like, who pays $150 for stuff that you can buy for $4 in a 4-pack?
YP Power.
Or not $4, 14, but whatever.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, you look at this list, and like what Matt already did the calculation. You look at this list, and you tell me how many of those beers, like even if you were to go to Holiday Market, that you could get individually that would cost $6.25 or more.
None of them.
And the first 6 on the list: All Day IPA, Centennial, Porter, Dirty Bastard, Backwoods Bastard, Masagave. Backwoods Bastard might be the most expensive one in there, and it still doesn't hit.
Also the best one in there.
They go for $4.99 here. I don't know what they go for out there per individual.
Well,
so.
Michigan craft beer is more expensive than anywhere else from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But
it just
so the only thing that I've seen in that box that you cannot get at your local store is the Mothership series. But the ones that were in that box, they have plenty of it at Detroit. So there's no reason for me to spend $150 on this mix box that is stuff I can buy anywhere I go.
That almost makes it just sound like there's like, oh, we just got all these bottles that have just been sitting here. Let's just store them in this box.
That's what it feels like to me.
I mean, for $6.25, the only ones I see that could actually be $6.25 or more would be the KBS, the CBS, and whatever this Better Half deep cut is, which I don't know what.
Well, that's actually really good.
The Better Half, we actually that was the beer that Dan and I found in Phoenix at a bar after
after the
show.
Rumble.
Yeah, that was ridiculously cheap for what they were charging back in Detroit. So we were getting drunk there.
Better Half is my favorite beer by Founders. And
that's
they just
mine
did the
too.
Deep cut in the member release, and I didn't get any, but I picked it up for some friends, so they let me have some, and it was really good, but. There's only like one of them in there.
I have since replaced that with Brooks's Old Methuselah because theirs is.
I guess the $150 question is, do you think this might be the thing that ends Founders Detroit? Is they came to Detroit and then they shit the bed with this advent calendar? Like, who would buy this for $150 and then go back to Founders Detroit to drink their beer? Like, I feel like I just got like roofied, like Cosby almost.
Most people are going to look at this as just kind of a one-off thing. They're going to go back and they're going to still go and enjoy their beer.
They'll boycott for 3 months.
Yeah, I just
Not
think
even that.
That if they decide to do the advent calendar again, that I think it needs to have a bit more of a teaser. It needs to have something where they tease a label or some big beer that no one has been able to get in the bars, in the breweries, on the shelves, something that can be out there. I don't know if that even means just like doing a triple tequila barrel aged Masagave, something that's got to be able to tell the fans that, hey, here's that greatest hit song. You're gonna get everything else.
Where's the opportunity? This is the opportunity to put a one-off that you'll never make again, or a one-off that got really good reviews at the Detroit brewery. That you could say, okay, well, we'll bottle it just because they do those special bottle releases for the staff. Why not do a special bottle release for the advent calendar? At that point, then now I'm going to buy that advent calendar, because now even if I get all day IPA as day number 1, I know somewhere in there is this one beer that nobody's ever had, that it, or it's been draft only. These are the only bottles that'll ever get made, and I'll feel better about it. But you look at these bottles, and I could go to Nick's over here in Ypsilanti, and I could pick all these up. And Nick's has a decent beer list, but it ain't the best. It ain't a Zatouna liquor. But I could easily pick up all of these beers, sans maybe a couple, without having to go to like a Zatouna liquor.
Right. But is San Miguel going to let Founders do something that's probably only in Michigan and is only going to sell, let's say, a few hundred cases? This is the issue. It's not like it's a local brewery anymore. Like, it has to go through corporate sponsor, all the corporate bullshit and all the stuff. So, I mean, it's never going to be that. It's like saying, hey, the lines will be good when the Fords sell. Again, that's not going to happen either. Nope. So you might as well just say.
Well, did they release this calendar nationwide or just in Detroit or Michigan?
I got to look at that again to see if they release that nationwide. But
because if it's nationwide, then sure, I understand what you're saying, Matt. But if it's Michigan only, like that's definitely a controlled source.
But who drinks Founders outside of Michigan? Like, I mean,
a lot of people.
Yeah, but Dan was talking about how KBS,
a lot of people.
Like KBS used to be hot here, but it sits on the shelves in Arizona.
But people buy it here, though. That's the thing. And people don't give a care about anything that's happened in Michigan when it comes down to that.
Correct.
It sells here like nothing.
Even in Michigan, there's a lot of people that don't give a crap about the stuff that's happened in Michigan. The thing that concerns me is that Founders is continuously stepping on their Mug Club members, their fan base. They're like, how do they expect to keep going if they're not ever doing the right thing, I guess, is the best way to put it. What I mean?
It looks like it was a Detroit. I mean, it basically was from the Detroit tap room. So I think this was very limited, and kind of to go to your point about the Mug Club, that maybe this was at a price point to make up for their lack of Mug Club members. I don't know.
So Matt, I want to say, because this is definitely the numbers that you're going to want to understand, is that a Michigan only brand, Griffin Claw, sells 13,000 barrels, while other breweries, including Shorts, Atwater, New Holland, get out of state. New Holland's number 3 at 48K. Founders is number 1 at 578K. So they're making way more beer than just what we're drinking here in Michigan.
And I get that, and that's part of my argument about this whole thing is, why would they then make limited releases just for this fucking box when they're taking Centennial, and All Day, and they're selling those in 100 countries in a thousand
Goose
markets.
Island makes pub only releases and pub only stuff.
Well, then maybe AB is just better than San Miguel.
I mean,
It could.
Or maybe they're better than Founders.
I mean, it could also be that, maybe this money is going toward those charitable organizations that they won't tell us what those organizations are and how much money is going to them.
If they did, they would get a lot more people to buy them. Because if I knew that half that money was going to or even a quarter of that money was going to a charitable organization, I would have gone and bought it.
But why would you still pay $6 for a $2 beer, even if it was going to a charitable organization?
I think just simply because it was going
to a charitable organization.
I'll hand out Cliff Bars.
If I knew that half of that was going to the Michigan Society of damn it, I lost the name, of Diversity and Inclusion, that I probably would do it. I might not, but I mean,
money to the round table then.
If I knew it was going there, then I'd think about it. I might have to ask some people as to whether or not, that might be a good idea to even do that. I may just donate the money to the organization themselves. I know you'd get cheaper than just getting,
shitty beer that you're not going to drink.
For a spot in the box.
So as we kind of finish up before we get to the King of the Hill, I want to ask you guys a question. There's going to be a caveat. Rob, you already put the question in there, so I'm just stealing it from you. But if you wanted an advent calendar from a brewery, and let's make it global. So all five of us cannot say a Michigan brewery. Dan, you cannot say a Arizona brewery either.
Oh, okay.
Where would you want an advent calendar from? So Matt wants to go first. Matt, talk to me.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Oh, now I have a shadow of a doubt. I'm just going to sit with the first one. Shiner. Shiner has such great beer. Their fall variety pack is great, and Ruby Redbird, the ginger. It's ginger and grapefruit Bach is literally my favorite summer beer in the world. So 100% it would be Shiner. Number two.
There's the thing is that you would buy the advent calendar knowing you're getting a bunch of beer based on all the beer you like from Shiner.
I don't think I've had a bad beer from Shiner. So, I think it would be 100% Shiner Bach.
Wendy.
I would pick Trogs.
Trogs,
I'm a Mad Elf fan like never, and I know that every beer I've had from Trogs I like, so I would totally pick Trogs.
Robert.
I'm gonna go with Bottle Logic. Bottle Logic would be absolutely amazing. I love Trogs.
You just stole mine, Rob.
I know. I knew if you were gonna go Bottle Logic, I was gonna go Modern Times, but I gotta go Bottle Logic because their consistency and how well they make their beers and pull off their flavors is amazing. And even if it was the stuff that I've already had, I would enjoy it again.
Daniel.
So since Rob took mine, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go to England and say Robinson's because they have made Trooper a worldwide brand as far as especially as English ale. I'd love to see however long Advent is of what we can do with that.
24 days.
So
Thank you.
I'm gonna say 2 just because I make the rules and I don't care. I would love a advent calendar from Machine House out in Seattle. This is a cask only house who does a lot of true to style like English milds and like a lot of English style beers. So ESBs, like I would love an advent calendar from them because I think it just would be a great place to get great beer from. Nationally, someone that you might recognize a little more, I would go with Funky Buddha.
Okay.
No, hard, no. They've got 2, 3, maybe 4 good beers.
I've never had a bad beer from Funky Buddha.
I would honestly, if we're gonna do something like that, Dragon Mead needs an advent calendar, and I'm gonna call Spencer right now and tell him.
I would personally buy
on that.
Even if it was.
I'd be down for that.
They're hardcore standards that even some get distros, some that don't. But like they're London Brown, they're
like even if it's like a $60 advent calendar,
I would pay more than that.
Oh, yeah.
And Deschutes, man. I mean, Deschutes has another line. Like their Twilight Summer, their Hop Trip. Honestly, I had this beer from Griffin Claw recently. Their Yakima. Uh, they literally had like a hop trip that Deschutes used to have, and Kyle just got a bunch of fresh hops. He put them right in the boil, and especially if you can put in like the blackgrass ciders with that and all the meats they make. Like Griffin Claw and Dragon Meat could both do killer advent calendars.
We'll launch this question on Monday when the show goes out. I'll post something on Facebook and get everyone's opinion on the Facebook or the founders release, as well as what advent calendar would they'd like to say. Maybe if we tag enough breweries, they might start making their own advent calendars. That's gonna do it. This is the November 27th news episode of Better on Draft. We appreciate you guys listening. We hope you guys are enjoying how we have been separating the interview from the news. Give you the opportunity to listen to either or both, depending on how you're feeling that day. That's going to do it. Stay tuned for IGTV only, as well as the live audience over at betterondraft.tv, Friday, 7 p.m. We're going to be playing our King of the Hill game. That's going to do it. Better on Draft podcast. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all Better on Draft. That's all I care to plug right now. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's... I got a gumball head.
Better on Draft!
And it's Better on Draft. Have a good night.
Peace.